Hi, I'm Mike Bovington. I'm the pastor of the Lutheran Church of the Good Shepherd in Douglasville, Georgia. And welcome to our weekly devotions. It is an absolute gorgeous day here in Georgia. There's a nice breeze. It's 70 degrees. There's not a cloud in the sky. It is a beautiful day to be a child of God. You are precious. You are loved. And today, the hymn we're going to talk about fits so much with a day like this. It's one of my favorite hymns, both for the words and for the tune. Great is thy faithfulness. Let me play it through for you. Lamentations 3:22-23. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They're new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Moved by that verse, Thomas Obadiah Chisholm, who was born in a log cabin in Franklin, Kentucky in 1866, wrote the hymn, Great is Thy Faithfulness. He grew up in a small town in Franklin. He was educated in a little country schoolhouse, and at age 16 became the teacher in that schoolhouse. At age 27, he became a Christian. At age 36, he was ordained into the Methodist Church with no university, no seminary education. He served one church for 1 year, and his ill health made it impossible for him to keep doing that. He ended up moving to Vineland, New Jersey for his health, and there he opened an insurance agency. He wrote hundreds of poems during his lifetime, but when he came across that verse and wrote the words to Great is Thy Faithfulness, he ended up sending those words to a friend of his, William Runyon. William Runyon was a friend of Dr. Will Houghton, who was at the time the president of the Moody Bible Institute, and he fell in love with that hymn after Runyon had put it to the music. Houghton had invited George Beverly Shea, an unknown singer at the time, to come and sing hymns on the Moody Bible Institute's radio station. And of course, singing hymns there for the president of the Institute, you would sing his favorite hymn. So one of the hymns he would sing was Great is Thy Faithfulness. Now, as a student at Wheaton College, Billy Graham would listen to these broadcasts, and he was so moved, not only by George Beverly Shea, but by the music that he sang, and Great is Thy Faithfulness being one of them, that when it came time for him to start his crusades, he invited George Beverly Shea to be a part of those. And of course, he became the great famous singer for the Crusades of Billy Graham. One of the things I've learned in these hymns and devotions is if you can get your hymn in a Billy Graham crusade, it's going to be popular. And in fact, this hymn is rated the second most popular in the Methodist hymnal. I've always thought that was interesting. Although he had ill health, Chisholm lived to be 94 years old. He wrote over 1,200 poems. His ill health made it hard for him to earn much of a living, and he said that in his life, because of that, the provision of God was astounding to him, and that God's faithfulness was not something he just sang about, but he experienced it as he lived. I love this hymn, and I think where you put the emphasis is important. For me, it's great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. God's faithfulness is what holds on to us, not our faithfulness holds on to God. God's faithfulness holds on to us. And God will never go back on his word. And his promise that he will be our God and we will be his people. His promise that you're his child, created in his image. That's a solid promise. It doesn't change, and that's who God is. Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father, not a Father, not the Father, not God and Father. All who cry Abba from their hearts, Daddy, my Father, who loves as a parent loves us. There is no shadow of turning with thee, not even a shadow of turning. Thou changest not, thy compassions, they fail not. God can't stop loving because God is love. Thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever will be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. The day we get up, we breathe a breath. We hear the birds. We see the wind. And we know that there's somebody in this world that loves us. Those are the mercies of God every day. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. God has provided, and God has provided enough for everybody. There is enough more to provide and to share with one another. Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars and their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. You can tell an awful lot about who the artist is by the piece of art that they have created. You can tell an awful lot about the writer from the song and the painter from the painting. And we can tell an awful lot about the creator from creation. We can see the harmony. We can see the holiness. We can see the beauty. Join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth. Let that peace of God that passes all understanding be in Christ Jesus. A peace that endureth. Thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide. Strength for today, bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine with 10,000 aside. The opposite of faith is not doubt. Doubt's a part of faith. The opposite of faith is despair. There's always hope. There's always hope for tomorrow. And we can believe in that hope, and we can trust in that hope, because great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. You're God's child, just as you are. Have a blessed day. Thanks for listening.